Welcome to this week's Fowl Friday Tip of the Week, brought to you by HP Outdoors. Here's your hosts, Josh Palm and Dan Harushka.
Hey guys, Josh and Dan here with another Fowl Friday quick tip of the week. This week we're going to talk about how you deal with ice and how to break it open and how to keep it open as we get here into the later parts of the season and some of the water around you may start to lock up. The biggest thing is, sometimes open water is the name of the game. If water is locking up all around you and you're able to keep some water open, you're going to find yourself in the chips when it comes for birds looking to work your area. So one of the ways that we found to keep ice open here is kind of a DIY sort of home remedy type of situation. But what we utilized was a homemade bubbler, a poor man's ice eater, where we basically bought a cheap little air compressor from Harbor Freight, and we hooked up an air hose to it and we ran it all the way down to the water where our blind was, and then we sunk it with a cinder block or something like that, and then you just turn the air compressor on. We were fortunate enough in this particular location to have power on site, but if you need a generator or something like that, you can run the bubbler, and the bubbler will keep you just turn the air on and it runs through the hose, and the bubbles will keep the water open. Not quite as large of an area as a ice eater as we commonly know them in the waterfowl world, but the bubbler does work. Why this is important is because if you can keep a little bit of water open, birds will find that, and then they will help you keep it open even more. So if they're using that to roost and loaf and things like that, as long as they're there, they're going to help keep it open. And that leads us to kind of like the next point of this is you may want to consider when you get to this point and you've got birds using your pocket that you've created, you may want to wait until the sun comes up and you got a little more huntable time immediately, to where when you bump these birds off, you got a better opportunity to work them quicker as they come back, because as soon as those birds start leaving, your ice, your hole will start to close up because they're not there to keep it open. So that's a challenge that you have to weigh as far as, do you want to jump them off at 4 a.m. when you get there traditionally to set up, or do you want to sleep in a little bit and wait a little bit longer into the day and then kick them off at that time? But definitely consider the homemade air bubbler if it's if a traditional ice eater is out of your budget.
Another way to do it, if you don't have power or something like that, one thing you don't not want to end up with is a slushy soup in your landing hole, because you're not going to have birds land on it. And if your decoys start getting all iced over, it's not going to look natural. It's not going to be a good day for you. So do not make slush soup. What I mean by that is try and keep the ice. If you show up and you have just an iced over pond, try to keep it in one big piece. So how do you do that? Try not to walk through the ice. If you walk through the ice, you will get holes in your waders, and believe you me, that is not where you want to be. So step on top. If it's shallow enough, keep stepping on top, make a big circle, and if it gets too deep, then you can use a hammer or an axe. But what you want to do is make one big piece or a bunch of big pieces that you are able to slide under the rest of the ice. And that is just... It's a necessity. Another old trick would be to get a trolling motor that you're not using and maybe hook that up to an old car battery, and that's another way, a homemade ice eater, if you don't have the power that you can reach down to the water.
So as the late season months are upon us and we need the cold weather to push the birds down, ice is going to be inevitable, a challenge that you're going to have to deal with. We've talked about a couple tips today to help you keep some water open and hopefully help you have more success. So best of luck trying out these methods.
Looking for more waterfowl hunting tips and techniques? Visit hpoutdoors.com or subscribe to the HP Outdoors Waterfowl podcast on iTunes.